Hello again and welcome to the After Action Battle Report video. So, it's been a while since I've done one of these. What I've tended to do recently is just have a minute or so at the end of my battle report to talk to my opponent about what they think went right, what went wrong, do a bit there. But I've had plenty of people say they want a dedicated After Action Battle Report video that they've kind of missed them. So, here we are guys. Ask and you shall receive. So, the battle report that this video is talking about is the Raven Guard versus Black Templar one, the one that I will have put up earlier this week. And it was a 2,000 point game. I hope you guys were able to make out which side was which. I know it was sort of black and white Marines versus different black and white Marines, but when I looked over the footage, it didn't look too bad, so I hope it's come out clearly enough. So that game resulted in a win for the Black Templars and a loss for the Raven Guard. Now that might sound obvious, but I think there were a number of reasons why the Black Templars won, and there were a number of reasons why the Raven Guard lost. It wasn't that one side beat the others; that there was two combined factors there. And I want to make clear now that it didn't come down. I would say it didn't come down to generalship. I think Simon is a very good player. Played him before. We've both had our fair share of victories against one another. But I think there's a reason why in two games now, this one was obviously a battle report, we've had a game before which wasn't battle reported, why the Black Templars were able to beat the Raven Guard. I think it comes down to the fact that, because when you look at it on paper, it's like, okay, the Raven Guard have got plenty of infantry, they've got plenty of dreadnoughts, they're a shooting army, they're taking advantage of their regiment trait, of their chapter tactic, versus the Black Templars. The Black Templars aren't really getting to use their trait against them. So what's going on here? And I think when we first played the game, the first game we actually played was closer than the battle report one. And that was when Simon's list was a little different. I don't think he had the chapter master back then. Now I think the advantage of the Black Templar list is the fact that it's quite pure. It is pure infantry. There are no vehicles in there. There are no distractions. Okay, and so because it's pure infantry and it doesn't have a huge amount of firepower, it has some firepower, but not a huge amount. I have 4 guns in the 100 Marines. I have 4 guns which have over 24-inch range. 4 heavy bolters. That is it. Everything else is 24-inch range or less. Now what that means is that I am forced to be quite mobile with the army. I'm forced to be aggressive. That is the key to victory. We've talked about this. Because I'm forced to be, and because I have more numbers, I'm able to, those two factors combined mean I have greater board control. And in any mission, and this is the key to victory, I've been learning this, in any mission, board control is the key to victory. If you might have the most firepower out there, but if you do not have good board control, you will not win the game. Or you will struggle to, you will find it very difficult to. And this is something which I think a lot of Imperial Guard players can fall into. I know a lot of Tau players fall into this trap, but it can happen to us Imperial Guard players as well, where we are tempted to gun line. Okay? And the problem with gun lines is it tends to mean that you castle up, you don't have great mobility, and that mobility you do have, you don't utilise until, near the last turns of the game. And then you probably only get about halfway across the board. You see, what's interesting about my Black Templars is because a lot of them are close combat and the rest of them are relatively short range shooting, I have to move forward constantly. If I don't move forward, I can only move, if I'm lucky, I'll only get 30 inches across the board. I mean, I've got 5 movement phases. If I'm lucky, I'll have 6. I only move 6 inches each time. And I can advance as well, but even then, it's not like I've 30 to 36 inches is probably the average, because you're going to take some casualties, which is going to blast you back a little bit. You're going to have to go around flanks and stuff, go around some terrain features. You're only going to have a 30 to 36 inch range, so you've got to move, you've got to be aggressive. If you don't move, you don't be aggressive, then you're really going to struggle. And I think that's why my Black Templars do weirdly well. Okay? I think it just comes down to aggression. It comes down that I have to be aggressive with them. I have to be. Now, and I think on the flip side, and Simon said this, I think, I don't know if we got it on camera, but he said this to me. He finds the Raven Guard. He loves the army. He's like me, you know, he's like fuck Primaris, regular Marines for life. And he loves the army. It's got loads of great, if you go back and watch the bit when I'm going through his list and look at some of the models, he's got loads of Forge World bits and conversions in there. It's a beautiful army. And it's a really nice army. It's a themed army as well. You know, it's infantry and dreadnoughts. But the problem is it's very static. A lot of his firepower is in heavy weapons, heavy bolters, plasma cannons, missile launchers, multi-melters. I think there are only a couple of squads in there, tactical ones, which don't have heavy weapons, and a couple of assault squads, and that's it. And I think that is the issue for Simon's list. I personally think it's too dedicated to long-range firepower, and it needs to be more aggressive and more mobile. I think there's an old quote in one of the old Imperial Guard books which talks about this. I wonder if I can find it. I'll flick through whilst I'm talking about other stuff as well. But yeah, so I think that is the main difference between our two armies. It's the fact that I am more mobile and he is less mobile, and then that gap is exaggerated, and because of this, it tends to swing in the Black Templars' favour. Now, what this has made me think about, though, and I want to do a full video on this at some point, what this has made me think about is how could you make, because what I've noticed, this is the truth. So that's one part of the after action battle report, the difference between the list, the reasons why people who won and who lost. The next thing is expanding our mind, you know, thinking of the bigger picture. What I've noticed with my Black Templars is I have 60 chopper marines and 40 shooting marines, and what I've noticed with them is that the choppy marines act as a big distraction kind of effects, but they rarely do a huge amount of damage. In fact, if you look at all my squads in that game, I think I maybe got 2 or 3 into close combat, and those close combats were against sacrificial units, 2 5-man tactical squads. So 60 marines were dedicated to close combat only really helped to kill 10 tactical marines. All the rest of my damage in that game was done by shooting, the vast majority of which was done by my 40 shooting marines, my 4 shooting squads. So this, and I've been thinking about this for a while, this has led me to believe that I think the most effective pure infantry Space Marine army would be a shooting one, but not a static one. No devastators. I know people's instinct would be naturally to go devastators. No devastators unless you want to take 10-man squads. The reason you take 10-man squads is to protect them, protect those special weapons. But I think you want to be taking loads of 10-man tactical squads. Okay. Or tactical squad equivalents, because I think who could do this, if you're a loyalist, I think who could do this the best would actually potentially be Space Wolves. Okay, now hear me out, because Space Wolves, and correct me if I'm wrong, can take 2 special weapons in a 10-man squad. They don't take heavy weapons in their Grey Hunters, which is their tactical squad equivalent. They just take 2 special weapons. So you could take, in a 10-man squad, 2 plasma guns and then a combi plasma on the pack leader if you wanted to, and that's 3 plasma weapons. And then you can take, if you took 10 of those, you're laughing. You're doing really well. You're able to move forward and be aggressive. And when you get within sort of 24-inch range, you can then chill if you want to, because then the beta bolter will all kick in, and you'll have lots and lots of bolter shots that range. Plus, you'll have 3 plasma shots per squad, or you can continue to push forward to get your plasma guns in rapid fire range. It's things to think about. Now, I actually think it's a bit of a toss-up here. I think Chaos could do an incredibly good pure infantry shooting army, because Chaos Space Marines can take up to 20 Marines in their basic squads, in their Chaos Space Marine squads. Now, obviously, Chaos Space Marines don't get access to lieutenants, which means they don't get the reroll ones to wound, but they do get access to Chaos Lords, which means they get the reroll hits. They have things like almost like a Baden, which let you reroll all hits. They have like Iron Warriors can ignore cover and be made fearless with the Iron Warrior Warlord trait. So you could take a big phalanx, like 6 20-man squads across 2 battalions. It's like 120 Marines, or you could like average it out, so it's like 15 men in each squad, or 6. You know, you take 100 Marines and you split it down to 6 squads, however equal. I think it's like roughly 60 Marines in each squad, or 4 squads of 15 and 2 squads of 20. Either way, you do that, and then you take the Iron Warriors Warlord trait, make them all Iron Warriors, and suddenly you've got 100 fearless Marines. Or you go a Baden, and everyone within 12 inches is fearless and gets to make them all that Legion, and you get to make them reroll hits as well within 6 inches. So there's definitely ways of doing it, because the key would be fearlessness. So that's what I'm looking into, guys. That's what I'm looking into making or building or just testing a 100 Marine shooting army. That's what I'm looking into. Not, I'm just looking into it in theory, Craftsman. I've got my 100 Marines and Black Templars, but it's definitely something that I want to test out. I want to stress test. I've got plenty of Marines I can do it with, because I think it'd be really powerful. I really, really do think it would be. But there you go, guys. That's the after action report. A little bit about how how the game went. And then a little bit about sort of thinking in the bigger picture now, taking this to the next step. Okay. What I want from you guys is, what do you think between for Chaos Space Marines and for Loyalist Space Marines? What do you think would be the best squad loadout, and what do you think would be the best chapter tactics / Legion trait? Do you know anyone who's run an army like this before? Could you tell me what pitfalls there are in running something like this? Because I'm thinking like close combat would be a problem, because you could get tied up in combat, but then if you were like Ultramarines, you could still fall back and shoot. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and of course I'll see you guys next time.